Hi there, knife people, hello lady and gentlemen. Today we're talking about small pocket carry fixed blades, namely Benchmade Dacian. Dacian? I think it's Dacian. Or is it even Dacian? Because in Latin C is a K.
What do you know? According to Wikipedia, it's Dacians in English and Dacii in Latin. And curiously enough, Dacia or Dacia is a region where I'm from,
Centered around the Carpathian Mountains in Central Europe. Okay, enough about that. Let's talk about knives. I love the finishes on this knife. Natural micarta is nicely offset by this subdued blue, grayish blue color here on the blade. And the sheath is navy blue. I think that's a beautiful color combination.
What do you think?
Marked first production. So they cost a little bit more for the coating.
And by a little, I mean quite a bit, actually $18 price difference.
I did choose it because I collect first production knives. Anyway, they clearly position this knife as a pocket carry knife because it has a deep pocket carry clip. Let's get into that for a second. They call it deep pocket carry clip, but it's deep for the sheath. Yeah, of course, if I don't have a knife in the sheath, it sits right here in the pocket. As soon as I put the knife in, it's no longer deep carry. The handle is fully exposed. I live in the state of Virginia. In 2021, permitted carrying fixed blade knives. I'm not a lawyer, so you should always consult with your local law. And so now that I have the knife in the pocket, probably is a good time to talk about how the sheath and knife system work together. Let's just do a quick extraction, shall we? It worked. The pocket clip has a pronounced dent in it, or indentation, with a hook. So that caught on the seam of my pants. Let's put it on the thinner part of my pocket, beyond the reinforcement here, and try it again. This time it came out with a sheath. They did not provide, let me show you, they did not provide any kind of distinct thumb ramp. You kind of have place to feed your thumb here, but it's not particularly comfortable and it requires locating it. The big problem I have with this sheath and a knife combo, especially in this configuration where it's coated, this was maybe my 7th or 8th extraction that I just, or 7th and 8th extraction that I just showed you. It basically came out of the sheath with snail trails in the coating, because the coating has a little bit of a rough texture to it, but some features inside the sheath, the retaining features inside the sheath, they kind of rub on the coating and leave this unattractive snail trails. Now, I'm only concerned about that because this is a collector item for me. If I bought the one without the first production label on it and was using it on a daily basis, I wouldn't care. Then, of course, I wouldn't buy the blue coated one because it's MagnaCut. And MagnaCut is pretty corrosion resistant, so coating is kind of something you don't really need on a blade like that. Let's wrap this segment about the sheath. So if you try to insert it directly in like you would with any other knife, you're going to be having difficulties locking it in. And that is actually common among all Benchmade molded sheath. So the way to deal with it, what you do, if it's in your pocket like this, with the tip of your blade, you find this forward wall, and then you slide your spine against it like so, and it will find its spot and lock right in. If you just go drop it in directly, you're going to have difficulties locking in because the locking feature, the main locking feature, are these fasteners here. So they have to be in the right place, and to do that you have to, like I said, bring it in, slide it forward. It becomes kind of automatic after a few trials. And you do it with any Benchmade sheath, because one thing they really underperform at is designing of their sheaths. They put a lot of work in them, and the result is mediocre or worse. Their leather sheaths were much better quality than their molded sheaths. I'll put it this way. All right, so let's talk about the knife itself. Put this bad boy in the pocket. Okay, so likes and dislikes. Love the texture of the mic cutter. You know, I already showed in a couple of my videos. If I'm working in a wet environment and the handle gets a little wet, it actually becomes a little grippier than it was when it was dry. Why is that? Because my cutter is a bunch of layers of canvas, heavy canvas, that is then immersed under pressure into the resin. And once the resin cures, it becomes very solid, very rigid material. But when they contour the handle profile on a machine, the fibers of the canvas get exposed, and when you wet them, they absorb moisture and swell a little bit, and that's why they feel so comfortable in the hand. You really will appreciate that if you try. They concaved the handle. I hope you can see on the camera, there's like a concave area there. That is maybe not the best idea I've seen them do on this size handle. On a larger handle for sure, like Strong Arm is a good example, but on a small knife like this, I think a fuller, more rounded, more oval cross-section handle would be better for extended periods when you work with a knife for a while, shaping wood, etc. I like the jimping that they provided. The jimping extends all the way from the handle to almost the tip. And I like that they stop short of the tip because that would be a breaking point right where it gets thinner. In fact, they could have stopped maybe 2 or 3 jimpings. What does DCA call these castellations? Something to do with ancient castles.
Cranulations.
They should have stopped 2 or 3 of these shorter, just to maintain the strength.
And that, unfortunately, nope, no spoilers. Let's hear it again.
They should have stopped 2 or 3 of these shorter.
Was going to be maybe a 6 or 7 minute long segment about carrying boot knives, but I'm cutting it short because of what happened a few days after I filmed this segment. I just want to make a couple points.
The key to carrying a boot knife is ability to quickly access it if you need to. If you have some kind of situation, you will step out, avoid being struck, pull the pant up, and reach for the knife with a strong hand if that's your primary self-defense weapon. Key takeaway from this segment: if you are considering carrying a knife as a boot knife, you need to try a boot and knife combination before you make a purchase.
So I just got home from that little walk, and I didn't want to pause. I just want to show you how I carried the knife. Shoelace came untied. Here's the knife. That's how it ended up. I have tall socks, so that helps. And my impression is very positive. First of all, it oriented itself in my foot and leg anatomy very well. No hot spots, no rubbing anywhere. And then while I felt the handle kind of touch the sock, I always wear wool blend socks, summer, winter, any time of year. Anyway, while it touched it, there are no hot spots, so I'm going to remove it. It's probably because due to this very well thought through shape. So let me roll down the sock to show you. There's no rubbing, no redness, very comfortable. I'm sorry about this sudden change of setup. Our local Parks and Recreations department is doing some watershed reconstruction near my property. So I'm totally piggybacking off of it. Because, you know, we're talking fixed blades and boots and knives, you know. So as an engineer, I work in the office and have nothing to do with operating this heavy equipment. But I thought some of you would enjoy the change of scenery. So pardon me for this a little ingenuity as in being ingenuous. I like this Dacian so much.
that I decided to order the plainer Jane version of it, and it is here in my boot. So I thought, I'm breaking in these new Red Wings. Why not break in with the knife in them? So here's the item. Arrived today. And there are a couple noticeable differences, and I would even say concerns. So the differences are hardware is bronze color, which I like, nicely offset against this denim micarta. I'm wondering if they actually use jeans to make denim. It certainly looks like jeans, but it's probably not. Anyway, and it comes with this chocolate brown, deep brown shade sheath. Everything else is identical to the first knife I showed you, except for this. So when I put it in the sheath, so here's this new one that just came in, and there's almost no retention. It rattles and then kind of knocks itself out. I literally just got it an hour ago in the mail, so still kind of getting my bearings. See, it kind of loosens up, which the original one that I showed you, that's in my pocket now, the original one doesn't do it at all. So no matter how hard I shake it, it won't break loose. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it's because the coating on the knife is actually interacting with the internals of the sheath. And that's what I thought initially, but then, you know, easy enough check. Let's swap them out. Same effect. So, and then when I put the uncoated knife in the coated knife's sheath, it locks in. There's a little bit of a rattle here, as opposed to no rattle at all with the original one. But, you know, it's much tighter. So it's the sheath. It's not the knife, not the coating. The sheath on this one is a little looser. So I'm not sure what kind of material. It's definitely not. It's just to complete the picture, there's a train in the background. How wonderful is that? Isn't it cool? Trains, trucks, it's deers, you know, and the bobcat. Doesn't get much better than this. I noticed that on this sheath, and it literally just got out of the box, right here where that fastener is on the inside that serves as part of the locking mechanism, there's a little bit of a protrusion. So I have a hope that you can thermally form it like you would do with Kydex. So another reason for a knife tuber to wander into construction site, there's always something interesting to cut on. So they had bales of straw here, and those are plastic bindings that hold them together. So start with a coated knife. Okay, that's one layer. Let's go with 2 layers. No problem. Cut it short. Let's wrap it. I pick it up, I promise. Let's do 4 layers. No. So 2 to 3 layers. Let's do 3, shall we? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Either this already starting to dull, but it doesn't feel that way. It's just not cut out. Yeah. I'm still going for 4 now. I don't like to be defeated by a strap made out of plastic. I know it's not particularly scientific test. 1, 2, 3. We got 4. Let's fold it over. Okay, that was the spot I was cutting on earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's cut it at an angle. It's biting in. Yeah, I got through it. And the reason I was doing that, not just to show you what the edge is capable of, but also report on how this felt in the hand. And actually this part was actually biting. You can maybe see the imprint it left, and also here on the thumb. So there are a couple hot spots when I was using it. So I'm going to put this away and do the same thing with the uncoated, and it will maybe inform us if there are any differences. So here's the uncoated one. While you watch me cutting through layers of heavy-duty binding, please consider subscribing to my channel. The reason I even started the channel is to provide an independent, unaffiliated point of view about the knives. The knife pricing reached ridiculous proportions lately, and the reason for it is an abundance of quote-unquote influencer channels who hype them up and generate the desire for you to go buy more and more. And by gosh, I buy a lot of them myself. And then I carry and test them. And when I discover deficiencies and issues with many of them, share them with you. The reason is I'd like you to make informed decisions and for the industry to hear our concerns and be able to respond to them as timely as possible. For that to happen, my channel needs to have a larger footprint. I got it on the second try. There's not much I can be doing here. And other than petting my dog, yes, there she is, and talking to you folks. So now I'm going to pack up and pay a visit to the Tree of Doom for a little bit, and then I'm going to head back to my Lab of Doom where I'm going to hardness test this here MagnaCut. Now that I have uncoated blade, it will give me a clean result. So the Tree of Doom is on its last leg, and I think my test or demonstrations here didn't help it. It's been dead for 10 years. And so I had to find a harder part of it. I think here is still a pretty hard wood, so I'm gonna go at it. 25 strikes, and then I pry left to right and right to left to test the tip strength. Clearly, it's not a test, it's a demonstration because I don't control all the variables, nor does it represent any realistic outdoor scenario, not even a survival situation. But it does allow me to validate that the tip on the knife that I'm carrying is not going to break off if I, in my forgetfulness, do something that knives are not designed to do. That's 20. If you find these demonstrations useful, please hit a like and write a comment if you don't. That was a weak one. And those of you who donated, super thanks. So that's 25 plus 1. I am grateful and humbled by your generosity. And now we're going to use the human race's originally DC, a club, to see if we can hammer it in. And I do this to validate that the handle materials and assembly quality, my aim is, I guess, off, can withstand a little bit of abuse. And by a little, I mean a lot. And that's where I should have stopped. I need a bigger club. Hard to find good stuff now. And so now I'm gonna twist it around a little bit, see if, oh, f me, look at that. Let's see if I can dig up the piece while I remember where it was. I guess they fixed the hardness problem. Oh, there it is. I see it. And what did I mean by hardness problem? If you watch my channel, you know I tested several, maybe half a dozen of Benchmade MagnaCut blades, and they all come in a much softer range than we expect, 58 to 60. And the word out there on the street, and by the street I mean Dr. Loren Thomas' website, is that the ideal range for MagnaCut is 62 to 64. That's why I use the hardness test. This is nothing. One time I broke an omnism on this tree. That's why I call it a Tree of Doom. Why do you think? A few minutes later. Can you see it? Yeah. All right. We'll test Benchmade's warranty.
Actually, I won't, because here's the policy, and clearly what I was doing is not covered by it. Therefore, I won't even try. Sadly, they don't cover design deficiencies, and this knife clearly has them. But that I'm going to save for the next video. Tonight, I just need to take a break and grieve.